a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Good evening, I'm Alma Angeles and you're watching ASEANINFOCUS on tonight's headlines. In Libya, rescue teams are facing an enormous challenge as they grapple with the daunting task of recovering the bodies of victims swept away by torrential floodwaters reminiscent of a tsunami. Authorities are conducting assessments to determine whether any Filipinos were affected by the devastating flooding in Libya. Meanwhile, in more breaking news, the Office of the Civil Defense has reported that a magnitude 6.3 earthquake struck off Cagayan province, resulting in injuries to 5 individuals. The eruption of Hawaii's Kilauea volcano, captured on video by the USGS, showcases raw power and intensity. And finally, it was a night of excitement and anticipation as Guerrero Tres took center stage at the EVM Convention Center this past Monday. And this latest installment in the beloved trilogy promises a journey filled with heart-pounding action and deeply moving emotions. First in our news, rescue teams in Libya are facing immense challenges as they grapple with the grim task of recovering the bodies of victims who've been swept away by torrential floodwaters akin to a tsunami. The city of Derna, which has borne the brunt of this disaster, has reported a staggering death toll of at least 2,300 individuals as confirmed by the Ambulance Authority. The calamity unfolded when Storm Daniel unfolded and struck on Sunday, causing the collapse of 2 dams and 4 bridges in Derna, resulting in extensive flooding that inundated much of the city. The humanitarian crisis deepens as approximately 10,000 people are currently reported as missing, according to the Red Crescent.
Epic proportions. There's not been a storm like this in the region, or certainly in living memory. So it's a great shock. Torrential rain to an area affecting at least 1.5 to 1.8 million people. And we are doing, and you know, it's also damaged hospitals. It's wiped out some hospitals, left some partially functioning. So the work now is really to get in supplies, but look at, and sadly, some of those supplies include things like body bags, but also trauma kits. We did have supplies that were pre-positioned, so they've already been deployed.
Several nations, including the U.S., Germany, Iran, Italy, Qatar, and Turkey, have expressed their commitment to providing or have already sent aid to alleviate the suffering. Heart-wrenching video footage captured after nightfall on Sunday depicts a relentless torrent of floodwater coursing through the city, with helpless vehicles being carried away in the current. Reports recount harrowing tales of individuals swept out to sea, while others clung to rooftops in a desperate bid for survival.
Hurricane Daniel hit the eastern part of Libya 2 days ago and left behind thousands and thousands of affected population between death, stranded, and lost during the hurricane. We are responding on the ground through our partners from the Libyan Red Crescent. The teams were deployed immediately once the hurricane hit the affected 5 cities. The humanitarian needs are huge and much more beyond the abilities of the Libyan Red Crescent and even beyond the abilities of the government. That's why the government in the East has issued the international appeal for support.
Libya has grappled with political turmoil since the ousting and subsequent death of long-serving leader Colonel Muammar Gaddafi in 2011. And this upheaval has left the oil-rich nation effectively split, with an interim government internationally recognized and operating from the capital Tripoli, while another administration operates in the east. And despite this division, the government in Tripoli has taken proactive steps by dispatching an aircraft loaded with 14 tons of vital medical supplies, body bags, and over 80 doctors and paramedics.
صاحبتها رياح عاتية أدت إلى وفاة الآلاف من المواطنين وإصابة الآلاف منهم، وما زال البحث جاريا عن المفقودين الذين جرفتهم السيول القوية، وما تبع ذلك من حدوث الفيضانات الهائلة وانهيار لعدد من السدود وسقوط الكثير من المباني والضرر الجسيم للمنشآت العامة والخاصة. كما أنه تم إصدار تعليماتنا الفورية بتسخير كافة الإمكانيات وتوفير الدعم اللازم من المعدات الطبية العاجلة وتسيير القوافل الطبية وتخصيص أماكن للإيواء ممن فقدوا بيوتهم ومنازلهم.
Meanwhile, authorities are currently conducting assessments to determine whether any Filipinos were impacted by the devastating flooding in Libya. The havoc was wreaked by a powerful storm known as Storm Daniel, which resulted in severe flooding, dam failures, structural destruction, and the inundation of approximately 1/4 of the eastern city of Derma, as reported by Reuters. The magnitude of this catastrophe is staggering, with over 10,000 individuals reported as missing, concerns that more than 2,000 lives may have been lost. The Philippine Embassy in Tripoli expressed its heartfelt condolences to all those affected by these catastrophic floods in eastern Libya, including areas such as Benghazi, Al-Marj, Al-Baida, Shahat, Derna, and Tobruk. The embassy stands ready to provide assistance to Filipino nationals in need, and they are encouraging those requiring assistance to reach out to the embassy through these following channels: ATN hotline 0944541283, WhatsApp, Viber, email tripoli.pe@dfa.gov.ph, and on Facebook, which is www.facebook.com, FinLibya. The Libyan embassy, the Philippine embassy, is committed to offering support and aid to its citizens during these challenging and extraordinary times. Meanwhile, in more breaking news, the Office of the Civil Defense has reported that a magnitude 6.3 earthquake struck off Cagayan province, resulting in injuries to 5 individuals. According to the OCD, the quake caused a wall to collapse in Calayan town, leaving 2 victims with brain trauma and head concussions, while 3 others sustained minor injuries. Fortunately, there have been no reports of fatalities stemming from this earthquake. In addition, the OCD has noted that no families or individuals were evacuated in the aftermath of this quake, which occurred on Tuesday at 7:03 p.m. And this comes after Dalupiri Island in Cagayan was also shaken by a magnitude 4.9 earthquake earlier that same day.
Yung maximum intensity po is intensity 5 sa may Bacara, Banggi, Borgus, sa Lawag City, sa Tagudpud, Paway, Pasukin, and San Nicolas sa may Ilocos Norte. Yun po yung maximum intensity natin sa mga lugar na naramdaman. Pero naramdaman po ito din sa Abra, sa Cagayan, sa Ilocos Sur, sa Nueva Ecija, at saka yun po, Aurora. May mga pictures po kami nakuha. May mga sa Calayan po mismo, sa Dalupiri Island, sa may Calayan, may 2 barangays po na naiulat, yung may mga bahay na nagkaroon ng cracks. Ito po yung sa Barangay Sentro 2 at sa Kabudadan. So ito pa lang po yung nakuha namin na may mga pictures na may mga cracks po sa walls. Magnitude 6.3 po.
Okay. Magnitude 6.3.
Yung intensity 5 po yung maximum intensity 5 po yung intensity 5 po yung naramdaman.
Okay.
Yung maximum, and intensity 5 is considered strong, and kapag intensity 5 po, it's generally felt by most people indoors and outdoors. Kapag tulog naman po kayo, pwede po kayo magising, and usually po ang reaction ng mga tao dito, natatakot and lumalabas outdoors. And yung there will be strong shaking and rocking that can be felt kapag nasa building po kayo, and yung mga hanging objects pwede pong mag-swing violently, and yung small, light, and unstable objects may fall or overturn, And yung standing vehicles may rock noticeably, and kapag nasa labas po kayo, mapapansin po nyo yung leaves and twigs sa mga kahoy are shaking.
In a rare encounter of isolated leaders, North Korea's Kim Jong-un traveled through Russia aboard an armored train on Tuesday en route to a meeting with President Vladimir Putin. And this meeting has been driven by their shared need for support amidst escalating standoffs with Western nations.
Уважаемый господин председатель, я очень рад вас вновь видеть и принимать в России.
께서 말씀하신 바와 같이 우리 국가 해방과 우리 국가 창건에서 우리 소련식이 러시아와의 그 전통 뿌리 깊은 그 친선을 우린 잊지 않고 앞으로 지금 시점에서 그 서로 관계를 우리 대외 정책에서 제1순으로 제일 최종 대시하고 발전시켜 나가는 것은 우리 정부의 확고한 입장입니다.
Military expert Masij Zopa highlights the desperation in Russia, emphasizing that this meeting between Putin and Kim could potentially yield artillery elements from Pyongyang to support Russia's military efforts in Ukraine. In return, North Korea may have an opportunity to enhance its air force capabilities with Russian-made aircraft.
Koreans have a lot of artillery elements. This is the backbone of their strategy against South Korea and against the United States Army in Korea. So maybe they have a bit of these weapons they can provide to Russians. However, this example, Russia never gave North Korea a license for advanced weaponry of certain sorts. For example, for aircraft, for advanced tanks or artillery. Right now, that might change because Russia is in desperation right now.
Mr. Zopa points to a historical precedent, noting that Iran received fighters from Russia for Shahid suicide drones, making this meeting a potentially opportune moment for North Korea to upgrade its military capabilities.
We all remember that Iran got fighters, Sukhoi Su-35 from Russia for Shahid suicide drones. And North Korea has quite primitive military air force. And maybe this will be a perfect time for them to change their aircraft or maybe even air defense systems for Russian types.
The Philippines is actively seeking substantial renewable energy investments from the Middle East, aiming to secure billions of dollars to support the country's socio-economic growth until 2040, as outlined by the National Economic and Development Authority. During the Philippine Economic Briefing held in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Arsenio Balisacan revealed that the nation is targeting $103.6 billion in RE investments spanning until 2040.
The Marcos administration has aggressively pursued reforms to open up this energy sector. The amendment to the country's implementing rules and regulations of the Renewable Energy Act of 2008 opened up our renewable energy or renewable resources to foreign capital, while the proposed amendments to the Electric Power Industry Reform Act will ensure a greater market competition, resulting in higher quality energy servicing for consumers and producers. Meanwhile, renewable energy is also a priority under the Strategic Investment Priority Plan, which contains investment areas that may receive fiscal incentives.
And this strategic move is intended to help the country achieve its renewable energy objectives over a two-decade period commencing in 2020. Balisacan emphasized that by the year 2030, the Philippines aims to incorporate a 35% share of renewable energy in its power generation mix, with a subsequent goal of reaching 50% by 2040. These targets are aligned with a clean energy scenario outlined in the Philippine Energy Plan for the years 2020 to 2040.
As the Philippine Energy Plan 2020 to 2040 outlines, a more sustainable and resilient energy system will significantly drive the Philippines' socioeconomic transformation. The country will need more foreign direct investments in renewable energy. To achieve our target mix for renewable energy, we will require a total investment of about $104 billion by 2040.
The Philippines is actively courting substantial investments not only in renewable energy but also in vital infrastructure projects, particularly in the region of Mindanao.
Marcos administration is committed to prioritizing infrastructure development in the southern Philippines, the Mindanao region, one of the country's most promising regions because of its significantly untapped potential for various growth drivers, especially in agriculture, agro-processing, and mining. The government will prioritize projects that aim to substantially reduce the island's cost of doing business, improving the region's resiliency to shocks introduced by climate change, and raise Mindanao's productivity as a rising agricultural and industrial powerhouse. As mentioned, we will harness PPPs to finance these IFPs and other high-impact projects and leverage the private sector's ability to use innovative processes, efficiently mobilize its resources, and deliver high-quality services. As of September 1st, 104 profitable projects worth about $45 billion are in the pipeline. As you can see, most of these are in the transport, road, and property development sectors. Other PPP opportunities in social infrastructure include health, solid waste management, and water and sanitation. Let me turn to one central area of interest for the private sector.
The Philippines conducted a series of high-level engagements in the Middle East, marking a significant milestone for the economic team's inaugural non-deal roadshow and briefings in the region. And these events included the Philippine Dialogue, held in Doha, Qatar on September 10, as well as the Philippine Economic Briefing on September 12 in Dubai, UAE, along with several other investor meetings. The World Trade Report 2023 argues in favor of re-globalization in response to the initial indicators of trade fragmentation that could potentially disrupt global growth and progress. Released on September 12, the 2023 edition of the WTO's World Trade Report provides fresh evidence highlighting the advantages of a more extensive and inclusive economic integration, precisely when early signals of trade fragmentation are now beginning to emerge.
The World Trade Report 2023 asks a big question. What is the role of international trade in building a more secure, inclusive, and sustainable world? While it's widely acknowledged that international trade brings about large efficiency gains, it is increasingly argued that some of these gains need to be sacrificed in order to pursue more important policy objectives. In particular, maintaining peace and security, reducing poverty and inequality, and achieving a sustainable economy. While trade continues to thrive in many ways, trade tensions are rising, and first signs of fragmentation are emerging.
Now, this flagship publication delves into its findings, illustrating how re-globalization, characterized by enhanced international cooperation and broader integration, can underpin security, inclusivity, and environmental sustainability.
However, talk of deglobalization is still far from supported by the data. Bilateral trade between China and the United States reached a record high in 2022. Trade was remarkably resilient during the COVID-19 pandemic, bouncing back to pre-pandemic levels less than a year after the first wave of lockdowns. And trade in digitally delivered services remained strong all along, growing at an average rate of 8.1% between 2005 and 2022. We need to embrace trade instead of rejecting it if we want to overcome the most pressing challenges of our time. In particular, the report makes the case for extending trade integration to more economies, to more people, and also more issues, a process that we call re-globalization.
Every economy participating in re-globalization, by putting international cooperation first, by not acting unilaterally, sends a message to all the other members. And it doesn't matter if these countries are big or small. I think every country can do its part by putting cooperation first to make sure that re-globalization works. And the evidence in the report shows that re-globalization is the best way forward to address the key challenges of today.
Indonesia has formally requested the U.S. to initiate discussions concerning a potential trade agreement related to critical minerals. The objective is to encompass exports from Indonesia within the framework of the U.S. Inflation Reduction Act. Now, this request was conveyed during a meeting between Indonesian President Joko Widodo and U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, which took place on the sidelines of the meetings hosted by the ASEAN in Jakarta on Wednesday. Now, under the guidelines established for the U.S. law back in March, it stipulated that a specific quantity of critical minerals used in electric vehicle batteries must be either produced or assembled in North America or by a free trade partner. Now, this requirement is essential for EVs sold in the U.S. to be eligible for tax credits. Indonesia currently lacks a free trade agreement with the U.S. Nonetheless, this resource-rich nation aspires to assume a prominent role in the EV and battery manufacturing sector, leveraging its substantial nickel reserves to achieve this goal. In a concerning development, the UN World Food Programme has revealed a historic funding shortfall, forcing it to make severe cuts in food rations across most of its operations. Now, this dire situation could potentially push an additional 24 million people to the brink of starvation. The funding gap exceeding 60% stands as the highest in WFP's history. The impact is already evident with significant reductions in nearly half of its operations, affecting hunger-stricken regions like Afghanistan, Bangladesh, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Haiti, Jordan, Palestine, South Sudan, Somalia, and Syria. WFP's chief economist, Arif Hussein, attributes this crisis to a substantial surge in needs exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic and the conflict in Ukraine. Currently, 345 million people worldwide face acute food insecurity, with 40 million at emergency levels of hunger, risking malnutrition-related fatalities. In a dramatic display of raw power and intensity, the eruption of Hawaii's Kilauea volcano was captured on video by the United States Geological Survey. The video showcases the breathtaking sight of lava bursting from the Halimau crater, marking the third eruption this year from the Big Island volcano. This recent eruption prompted the Hawaii Volcano Observatory to adjust the alert levels for Kilauea. The alert level was reduced from warning red to watch orange. The eruption commenced on Sunday at 3:30 p.m. HST, triggered by increased earthquake activity and observed changes in ground deformation patterns at the summit, as reported by the USGS. Officials have reassured the public that the ongoing eruption is expected to remain contained within the boundaries of Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, not extending beyond the caldera. The HVO has not detected any significant changes in activity in other parts of Kilauea and anticipates that the eruption will continue to be confirmed or to be confined to the summit region. Now, Apple held its annual product launch event where it announced the iPhone 15 and new versions of the Apple Watch. The company also made some significant changes to its proprietary Lightning connector, which is now being replaced by the more universal USB-C connector.
Today, we're pushing what users love about iPhone even further. And I'd like to show it to you now.
Now, the same cable can charge Mac, iPad, iPhone, and even AirPods Pro 2nd generation, which is updated with a USB-C connector.
The move to USB-C is a major departure from Apple's previous stance on proprietary connectors. The company has long been criticized for its use of Lightning, which has made it difficult for users to switch to other devices or repair their own iPhones. The switch to USB-C is likely due to new regulations in the European Union, which require all new smartphones to be equipped with the connector. However, Apple has also said that it believes USB-C is the better connector for its products.
If your AirPods are low on power, you can charge them or even an Apple Watch right from your iPhone. We're also bringing USB-C to EarPods so they can work with iPhone 15 seamlessly.
In addition to the changes to the Lightning connector, Apple also announced that it's making its products more repair-friendly. And this includes making internal components easier to repair and designing the iPhone 15 with a new frame that allows for simpler replacement of the back glass. Apple is also continuing to improve the technology in its products. The iPhone 15 will feature a new camera system with improved image quality, and the Apple Watch will have new features such as the ability to respond to finger taps. Behind the scenes, Apple is also diversifying its supply chain by establishing partnerships with companies in Vietnam and India. And this is likely in response to increasing political tensions with China. Despite some challenges, such as a drop in iPhone sales and concerns about Chinese restrictions, Apple is still expected to remain a major player in the smartphone market. Wedbush analyst Dan Ives estimates that the company will gain significant market share in the Chinese smartphone market in the coming years. And finally, in our news, it was a night of excitement and anticipation as Guerrero Tres took center stage at the EVM Convention Center this past Monday. Here's MJ Racario for more.
The wait is finally over. Guerrero Tres had its red carpet premiere last September 8, 2023 in Quezon City, Philippines at EVM Convention Center. I had witnessed their live Q&A in their official website. Here are the highlights. Take a look.
Kung ako po yung papipiliin, mas pipiliin ko po yung Guerrero Tres kasi ito po yung para sa akin pinakamahirap po na pelikula na ginawa ko po. Kasi po, marami po kami mga scenes na talagang mahirap po at mahirap po namin na-achieve bago po namin matapos at masabi talagang it's a good scene po.
I can say that this is once in a lifetime experience po. Kaya nung pinalad po ako na mapabilang sa Guerrero Tres, happy heart and very unexpected po. And when it comes po sa process naman po, dumaan po kami sa audition, workshop, and even sa script reading po.
First obstacle I face is definitely understanding the Tagalog first. But I was able to overcome it. I never had a problem like a language barrier. I've never felt a language barrier. Because of all the people right here, like very friendly, like they welcome me as a part of the family of the Guerrero since day one. So I really appreciate like their efforts and their efforts to talk to me, welcome me, like to making me comfortable.
Delikado yung iniisip mo, Ramon.
Coach, sa boxing ako bumagsak. Sa boxing din ako babangon.
Kung talagang gusto mo bumalik sa boxing, patunayan mo! Lakasan mo! Sige pa! Guerrero ka!
Actually, nahihirapan po talaga ako na dugtungan. Kasi kung ako lang talaga yung tatanungin, matatapos na po siya talaga. Nung Guerrero 1 pa lang, tapos na. Pero nag-request ang audience, gusto nila magkita yung magkapatid, nagkaroon ng Guerrero 2, hindi pa rin nagkita, nag-request ulit, Guerrero 3, pag hindi pa rin nagkita, baka magka-Guerrero 4 pa. Pero honestly, mahirap po siya kasi wala talaga sa plano. At the same time, pagkatapos po ng Guerrero 2, dumaan po tayo sa pandemic. Sobrang ano po, honestly, medyo ako, pinanghinaan din ng loob na magkakaroon pa ba ng part 3. Pero yun, awa po ng Diyos, no? Kasama-sama tayo, natapos yung pandemic.
Sige pa! Guerrero ka! Vamos!
Since tayo naman yung Guerrero, hindi tayo laging kumukuha ng mga talagang artista. So sinisikap natin na may mga own talents natin ang masama dito sa pelikula. So yun ang napaka-challenging sa part namin, lalo sa part ng director.
Ito lang yung alam kong paraan para magkasama kami ulit ni Miguel.
Itapusin daw niya yung nursing at itutuloy niya hanggang maging doktor siya.
Panalangin ang ating sandata.
That is it for our entertainment news. Always tune in to Net25. MJ Ricano here because we live in extraordinary times.
As my usual habit, I'd like to end the day on a positive note. Let's encourage and build each other up so that no one is left behind. And that's it for tonight's broadcast. I'm Alma Angeles. Stay in the news because we live in extraordinary times. Good night.